Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. Thank you for joining us and we're going to get started. As this slide indicates, the title of our webinar today is People Power Your Campaign with Online Petitions. And we're going to talk about how you can promote your campaigns, pressure decision makers, generate media, grow your base, and win with online petitions. My name is Lawrence Grodeska. I'm the Director of Nonprofit Community here at Change.org. And here's a quick agenda of what we'll be talking about today. We're going to go a little into some background about why online petitions have become so popular and what brought us to this point in time. We're going to go further into what makes a winning petition and some of the things you should be thinking about when you're creating your online petitions. We'll go into some great detail about tips and tricks for starting your petition. And then we'll wrap up with some talk about a few features and services we have here at Change.org that can give your campaign some additional exposure to the supporters you need to be effective with your work. We'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. You can enter those questions in the chat window on the left side of your Ready Talk window. Just enter the chat over here. I'm going to say hello. This is Lawrence, and send that to you all so you know that this is where I'm talking about as far as the chat window. If you have any questions at all during the presentation, please let me know and be happy to answer them. This webinar is also being recorded, and I'll be sending out a link to the video for you to use or share with other folks at your organization as you see fit. Great. Well, Change.org is the world's largest online petition platform, and it's our mission to empower people everywhere to create the change that they want to see. People do that by creating petitions to tell their stories and in the process gather support for their cause in a way that maybe they didn't have the opportunity to do before. And through this process of individuals creating petitions and organizations creating petitions, we see tons of great stories, so many great stories every day. Stories like the young gentleman pictured here, Zach Walls, delivering hundreds of thousands of signatures, asking the Boy Scouts of America to end their ban on gay scouts and leaders. This story is even bigger than just Zach. Hundreds of petitions were created on Change.org asking the Boy Scouts of America to change their discriminatory policy. Groups like the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation and Zach's organization, the Scouts for Equality, also created petitions that eventually pressured the BSA with incredible results. Just this May, the Boy Scouts of America announced that they will allow openly gay youth in their organization, ending a 100-year discriminatory policy that many others had tried to change. So this is a pretty incredible story, but it's just one of the stories that we see every day, all told through petitions, all that have had a real and tangible impact just because someone or some group decided to take one action that turned into a landslide of collective action. And that's really the power of the petition, being able to harness the collective action of many other individuals and then have them share the petition with their networks and creating a landslide of collective action that you can use as part of your online campaigns to be even more effective with the work you're doing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Of course, we didn't invent online petitions. They've been around for a long time. As this picture indicates, black and white always means old, but petitions are one of the oldest advocacy tools in the book and just one form of collective actions that organizations have used to gather support for decades and centuries, really. But things are a little different today than when these gentlemen were on the steps of a city hall in the early 1970s protesting some aspect of the Vietnam War. What yesterday used to be a march or rally or a phone call-in day, all the traditional tactics that organizations have used have really changed in the age of information and the internet. In the past, when you convinced someone to take action, you got one vote or one phone call or that one signature. But today, through the internet and with mobile technology, there's an unprecedented opportunity to increase the efficiency and impact of that time-proven model of collective action and really updating some of those time-proven tactics that organizations have been using for a long time. So social media, email, and online petitions, of course, help you meet people where they're at and give them new ways of expressing support and engaging with causes that they care about. Ultimately amplifying collective action to campaigns, a campaign that might look like a march in the street like this now looks like a petition like this, which is the Trayvon Martin petition that was started last year, that mobilized millions of people that wanted to see justice for a young man who was shot in his community, and charges were never pressed against the person that pulled the trigger. Ultimately, the story played out like it did, and George Zimmerman was found not guilty in the legal system of Florida, but this petition helped to make sure that Trayvon Martin's family had the opportunity to have a case for the murder of their son. So it's really incredible to see what kind of impact petitions can have. And the first sort of thought I want to leave you with here is that online petitions are highly social and they complement traditional advocacy tactics. So if you're doing phone call-in days, if you're doing marches and rallies, if you're doing legislative action, an online petition can really fit in well to that mix of tactics for your campaign. And we'll see some examples of that in a minute. Oh, I got stuck on the slides here. But first I want to tell you just a little bit about Change.org. Change.org, as I mentioned, is the world's largest petition platform. At this point, we have 40,000 users in every country, and organizations are really seeing that activity on our platform and creating petitions to harness the power of the individuals that have come to Change.org to take action. Now, over 30,000 organizations at this point have collected 70 million signatures and counting for the issues that they're working on, and that's a really incredible collective impact in and of itself. And we're seeing organizations all across the spectrum of issues: environment, LGBT, human rights, animal welfare, etc. It's really wonderful to see organizations taking advantage of the services that we have to offer. And Change.org is an online petition platform, but we're also a for-profit business, and we're a socially minded business. We're a B Corp. That's a social benefit corporation. And we work to maximize impact instead of profit. So just like we aim to empower individuals to make the change they want to see, we also empower organizations to build their movements using innovative tools to engage the passionate supporters they need for their work and for their causes. And one of the primary ways we do that is that we have a sponsor campaign product that I'll talk to you about a little bit later in the end that connects individuals that sign petitions with the organizations that need that supporter power, that people power. And this image demonstrates that. Someone comes to Change.org, signs Zach Wall's petition in the middle of the circle, and all those folks are around him, supporting him in his issue, and we're able to connect those individuals with the organizations who are our clients, who need passionate supporters, who need to grow their list, who need to find new donors for their work. And it's a pretty incredible model that empowers individuals, empowers organizations, and also creates real change in the process. And we're real proud of that, and it's an honor to see all the activity that happens on our platform every day. And why does that really happen on our platform? What's so effective about online petitions that makes it a model that individuals and organizations are really turning to? It's a few things, and I want to talk about a couple benefits that we see online petitions can offer your organization. With online petitions, you can accomplish a couple of different things in one tactic. And the first, it's a great way to meet new supporters. You're always looking for new individuals to cultivate into advocates and supporters and donors, maybe lifelong donors. And the petition is a really easy way to identify the folks that care about your issue. Essentially, when they sign a petition, they're raising their hand and saying, I care about your work, I care about your cause, I care about your organization. So it's a great first step in that ladder of engagement that we talk about as far as finding and cultivating new supporters. And I should mention that when you run a petition as an organization on Change.org, we give you the ability to do some free list building. If someone signs a petition, they have the opportunity to opt into your email list, which then gives you the opportunity to email them directly. So that's a great feature and benefit that you should be thinking about when you're creating your petitions on Change.org. I'll go into some detail on that a little bit later. The next benefit that we see about online petitions is their ability to generate press and media and issue awareness for the topics of the petitions. We've had more than one top-tier journalist tell us that they come to Change.org to find out what people are talking about to learn about the news of the day, to read through comments and see how people are reacting. And it's no surprise that in this day and age with social media and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything new that delights and excites the press, they always want to have an online component. And so online petitions are a really easy way for them to bolt on an element of online conversation to a story about an issue. And they can and do pull quotes directly from comments on petitions. So it's really interesting to see how petitions are actually generating press just by giving reporters a new form or new reference or resource for their stories. And finally, and most importantly for advocacy work, online petitions generate a lot of pressure towards decision makers. If someone signs your petition, we send an email on their behalf to the decision maker that you've targeted for your petition. And this starts to create a dialogue with that decision maker, who are really the people that need to help you make the change you're looking to make. And we'll talk about that as far as strategy for online petitions, finding the right person to direct your petition to, the person that has ultimately the power to make the decision that you want to see made. And an online petition really helps to amplify the pressure and the public pressure on them to make that change. Great. And let's see. I thought I saw a question. Jay Butera raised his hand. If you've got a question, Jay, feel free to enter that into the chat window. Would love to answer your question for you. So, what makes a winning petition a winning petition? I'd like to talk about the acronym called DIRTY. That stands for dramatic, inspiring, relevant, and timely. So these are some of the characteristics that you should be thinking about when you're telling your story through an online petition. I call these the key ingredients for engagement. And there's a few ways that you can look at it, but ultimately you want your petition and your campaign story to be dramatic and to generate emotion in people. You want it also to be inspiring in that it speaks to the best in each of us and informs us, or the way you frame the issue talks to why we should care about it and how this issue can help make a better world and how we can be a part of it. And then the relevant and timely aspects are really tying your issue to the lives of individuals, making it relevant to their day-to-day if possible, and centering your petition and your campaign story around current events and timely issues. It's just going to make it that much more possible for people to connect to it as an issue and be interested in your cause. So with that in mind, let's walk through a couple of examples, and I want to show you what a few other organizations have done on change.org with our free petition tool. First is a group called the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. They're an international preservation organization based in Chicago, and their mission is pretty simple, is to facilitate the preservation and maintenance of the remaining structures designed by the famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And Frank Lloyd Wright is very beloved. People love his work, and it's slowly aging, and this group is trying to save it. And they've done a lot of work advocating to save the structures that Frank Lloyd Wright designed, but they've never used an online petition before. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes, working with developers, working with city councils, historical preservation societies, but they had an issue with this house, the David and Gladys Wright house, and it was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright for his son and daughter-in-law, David and Gladys, and it's located in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was in danger of being purchased by a developer that wanted to raise the house and instead build luxury condos. They weren't getting much traction with the city council, and so they decided to turn to change.org and start an online petition. Again, their first petition, and they started the petition, found a great image you can see here really showing the beauty of the house, and they shared it with their email list and their core network of supporters to get the petition going. It really picked up steam, and they got a great response from their very passionate group of supporters and their email list. And the petition started to get picked up by the press. It actually, the fact that so many people were speaking out to save this home started to shed some light in the media. And probably one of the best stories they got placed, over about 300 media hits, was this feature on the front page of the art and design section in the New York Times. And you can see another great photo of the home, talking about the effort to save it. The title of Fight for Its Life was a great framing that helped them really demonstrate the public support for saving this home. And best yet, there's also a link to the petition that the article listed, and you can see that right here in the yellow box that I just highlighted. The link went right back to the petition and generated a ton more signatures for the petition. So the petition kind of had a life of its own. I mean, you can say it went viral. I don't know if that term has too much meaning anymore, but it did create a virtuous cycle where more people signed, press got more and more interested, and the campaign really took off. And it did demonstrate to the Phoenix City Council that there were a lot of people, both in Phoenix and outside Phoenix, potential tourists and visitors that would come to Phoenix to see this home. They all cared about saving this historic building and actually bestowing historical preservation status. So the City Council decided after a few months to grant a temporary historical status and prevent the sale of the property to the developer so that the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy could find the right owner for the home, someone that would purchase the property at the right price point and commit to historical preservation and renovation, which eventually happened. This was a victory, and the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy was delighted with the online petition and how it helped their advocacy work. And they also engaged a whole new set of supporters. In the end, the petition got about 28,000 signatures, and as I mentioned, when someone signs a petition on change.org that your organization has created, they can opt into your email list. And about 18,000 people opted into the email list of the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy through this petition. So that's very much on the high end. Not every petition can do that, but at the very least, the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy was able to build their list with those new supporters and communicate to all the people that signed the petition through our messaging tool. So it was a great way for them to extend their reach, meet new folks, and also demonstrate the power of their idea and their issue through the tactic of an online petition. All right, next example is a group called the Polaris Project. And they are an international anti-human trafficking organization, primarily based out of the United States and Japan. And it's their mission to end the terrible practice of human trafficking. And one of the ways in which human trafficking is aided and carried out is by the branding of human trafficking victims. In this case, the Polaris Project was targeting the branding of sex trafficking victims. And you can see the very provocative image they've used here. I don't think that's quite the brand that sex trafficking victims receive, but the practice is awful, and it really was something, a very specific way that the Polaris Project, a specific part of the practice of trafficking that the Polaris Project could target as a way to take a small steps towards ending the overall practice of human trafficking. So for this petition, they targeted the National Tattoo Association and I think it was the communications director of the National Tattoo Association, asking them to create an educational program for tattoo artists in the United States, so that if a tattoo artist saw something that might be suspect, that might be a brand for a human trafficking victim, they could then alert the proper authorities. And it was a very successful targeting, very great strategy. It only took about 2,000 signatures before the National Tattoo Association said, yes, this is a great idea. We love to do this. We would love to be a part of this. This is an important thing for our artists to know about. So a wonderful victory that only took a couple thousand of signatures, demonstrating that you don't need a lot of firepower in a petition. You just need to find the right person that can be influenced through a tactic like an online petition. They were also really great about, the Polaris Project that is, great about getting the petition out there, sharing it on their Facebook page. You can see here that they're sharing a petition right next to an ask for a call-in day. So again, that idea that online petitions fit with different tactics that organizations use and are really important as a way to vary the different asks that you have of your of your supporters. Some supporters are more comfortable picking up the phone and calling. Some are more comfortable signing a petition. So having a good mix of tactics to engage your supporters is important. And also, they managed to generate some press online at theexaminer.com through this petition as well. And you can see here this little inset screenshot of a great Examiner article talking about the campaign and the petition itself. This was also victorious, and the Polaris Project pretty regularly starts petitions on our site for different campaigns that all build up to that bigger issue of stopping human trafficking. And that leads to our next takeaway. While people in Change.org are creating moments by signing petitions or maybe creating petitions about a single issue, nonprofits are using Change.org over time to create movements by starting petitions, connecting with supporters, cultivating those supporters into donors and activists and advocates. And so we see the petition as an important part of the process for organizations that need that people power to create change, and we're delighted to see that happening on our platform every day. Okay. Let's get into some specifics about creating your petition. I'll remind you that our petitions are free. We do have paid services if you're looking to find new supporters. I'll tell you about that at the end, but it doesn't cost a dime to start a petition on change.org. So I'd encourage you to give it a shot if you want to fool around on our platform, on our website right now. And while I'm talking, if you're going to be in any other application or window on your computer, I would hope it would be change.org, because I know that you're doing something else aside from listening to me right now. So feel free to fool around while we're walking through some of these tips and tricks for starting a petition. And I will also note that on change.org, if you go to change.org/organizations, there's a landing page with a lot of information for your organization, additional resources, some case studies, also lists of other webinars that we have coming up. And there's also a link that says Get Started, and that's to create a profile and start a campaign on change.org. You want to click that button and fill out a short form about your organization, and that will create a profile for your organization that looks something like this. This is a fake organization I created to give Oakland, California a little love. I'm calling you from San Francisco, California, and I do love our sister city across the bay. So this organization is focused on beautifying Oakland, and you can see that they have a logo here, a description of their organization, and a link to their website URL. This is important. It gives you additional brand awareness and recognition of your organization as people sign your petition. So create your organization page, make sure you upload a logo, and when you're ready to start a petition, you want to click the Start a Petition button in the header of every page of our website. And you'll see this Start a Petition page. There's 3 questions. There's also a drop-down box that lets you select whether this petition is by you as an individual or by your organization. Make sure your organization is selected so that you can have that great benefit of doing the free list building for your petition. And yeah, so these 3 questions, this is really the core of your petition, so I want to walk through these one by one. I'm going to start with the second one, though, and that's the question of what do you want to do. This is really the outcome or goal of your petition. What specific change are you looking to make? And as we saw in the Polaris Project example, they're looking to end human trafficking, but that's not what their petition was about. They didn't petition President Obama to end human trafficking. They petitioned an organization to stop branding of sex trafficking victims. That's a very specific and very targeted ask for a petition that's much more in line with what's possible for a petition. I'm not going to shine rose-colored glasses, or I'm totally mixing metaphors here, but I'm not going to fool you and say that online petitions can fix all of our problems. But when properly targeted, they can be very effective. So you do need to pick a specific, discrete issue that is possible to see change around. And once you have that, you can then take a step backwards and answer question number 1. And that's, who do you want to petition? This is the person that, or people, or organization, or elected official that have the power to make the change that you outlined in question number 2. So this is the person that you want to have a dialogue with, and you want to influence see your side of the story and to come around to why this change is important. It's important to get this step right too, because this is the person that they have to have power over the issue. They have to be influenceable. And if you don't get this right, if you target someone that is not associated, is not actually, if you target someone that can't actually make the change, if you assume that someone has the power to make the change, it's probably not the right. You can't make assumptions. You have to do the research to make sure you know, for example, the right elected official that controls the policy around zoning in your town. And if you don't know for a fact that that person controls the zoning regulations in your town, then you need to do some research. But once you have the right person, once you have the right ask, you need to tell the story. And that's question number 3. Why is this important? And this is where you make the argument about why this change needs to happen. Definitely use your research and references if you have them. People want to know that a petition is well researched, and people do read petitions on change.org, and our users are careful about what they sign. So take the time to make a solid argument, and this is going to be, as people look over your petition, this is going to be something that helps to influence them. So take your time with that. And once you get those 3 questions answered, click the Start My Petition button, and you will be taken to a petition page that looks something like this. This is a petition that is not quite ready for prime time. You can see that there's no image. There is no, the title is fairly long and wonky. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through some steps to edit your petition and get it ready, optimize it for sharing. And to do that, click the Edit the Petition button that I've highlighted near that yellow arrow, and you'll see the Edit Your Petition page that has some elements that we want to walk through. First and foremost is uploading an image. And so we talked about telling a story with words and framing your issue. You can also tell a story with an image. So it's important that you find an image that speaks to your campaign, something that's visually arresting, something that may be colorful or speaks visually to the change that you're trying to see. You want to try and avoid images that have a lot of text, because when your image is shared, when your petition is shared to Facebook or other social networks, that petition image will be shrunk. So find an image that works well in multiple formats. Having individuals and faces, people in the photo always helps. People, when they're online, they tend to connect more with photos that have individuals in them and other faces. So think about that. You can also upload a video if you have video for your campaign, or maybe a video of the injustice you're trying to change. And you can do that. I want to embed a video. There's a little link there that allows you to do that. So very key element of your petition, petitions that have images are many times more successful than petitions that don't. And next, you're going to want to optimize your petition title. As we saw, that petition title was fairly long, so you want to take some time to brainstorm some petition titles that are more catchy, more snappy, more direct. This is a great opportunity to find a coworker or a friend and just sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and do a petition title derby, like that's what we like to say here in the office when we're doing an impromptu group brainstorm about finding a better, more catchy title. But the image and the title are really going to be the way that the majority of people who get exposed to your petition decide to click through. So take your time on that, and you can always test out different titles as well. Scrolling down the page, you see the decision maker that you've listed here, the City of Oakland Department of Public Works. You want to take some extra time and add their email address. If you don't have their email address, it's worthwhile just seeing if you can find it online or asking around to other folks that you think may have some knowledge. This is important because if you list the email address for the decision maker, then we'll send out those emails when someone signs your petition. So it's a great way to apply pressure, but we can only do that if you list their email address. I'll also note that you can add multiple recipients. You can also add elected officials in the U.S. This feature is not available outside the U.S. just yet, but if you add an elected official, you can have someone sign the petition and automatically target their state or federal official, depending on where they sign from. So very handy feature, and definitely add multiple decision makers if you think that there are multiple people that can have influence over this decision that you want to. If multiple people have influence over the change that you want to make, definitely add them. So scrolling down the page, we have an opportunity to edit the story we told about why this issue is important, and we also have a petition letter. This is the petition letter that gets sent to decision makers when someone signs your petition. So this could be a variation of the story you told right above, but you do want to address the petition maker in a polite and respectful way, but also be authoritative and use those references. This is the direct argument you're making to them about why they should care. So frame your issue compellingly and back it up with great resources and references, and that's going to help you start that conversation with the decision maker to make the change you're looking to see. All right, and with that, we save those changes, and we have a petition that's looking much better and much more optimized to share. Better image, shorter title, great story. We're ready to go. So that really is a walkthrough of what I call our winning petition checklist. And to review, that's achievable ask, specific targeting, a compelling story, and selling that story with a provocative image and an engaging title. If you do those things, your petition is going to be much more likely to not only engage people to your cause, but also have an impact as far as achieving the change that you're looking to make. So once you have your petition ready to go, it's time to start sharing it. And you do need to promote your own petition. There'll be some discovery on change.org, and I'll talk more about a couple of the ways that happens in a minute. But it's important that you get the word out about your petition. It's like anything, you do need to tell people about what you're working on. It's an important part of organizing and campaigning is promoting. So here are a couple ideas about how you can do that. Using your email list is first and foremost, and really the core asset that organizations have, as you know, is the email list. And sharing a petition with your core supporters, and also asking them to share it with their network and their friends, whether it's professional or social networks. This is an important step to take advantage of what the internet offers us as far as that social network and the viral effect, if you want to call it that, even though it's hard to quantify that, but it really is about having people share it with their network, so you get the second and third and fourth level effects of the social web. Obviously, sharing on social media is how that happens in a large part. So if you have Facebook or Twitter or Google+, share your petition on those profiles. We see that Facebook is really the platform that drives the most signatures for petitions, but definitely experiment with that. And as far as social media goes, petitions can be somewhat evergreen. They're a great piece of content that you can share as the petition evolves. When you start the petition, when you get 100 signatures, when a high-profile signer, maybe another elected official, signs, you can share it. When you get media coverage, there are multiple opportunities to share your petition, and it's a great way to demonstrate the impact your petition and your organization is having. So don't be afraid to share it over the course, but try and share it in new contexts and share different developments of your campaign along with the petition link. Always talk to partners and allies in your campaign world. If there's an issue that you're working on and you know other organizations or activists or bloggers that might care about your issue, feel free to share the petition with them. That can always help get additional coverage and some additional signatures. And then finally, if you're doing press releases, include a link to your petition with maybe a note about a live signature total or demonstrating the public support about your petition. This seems a little awkward, but we see this is a very effective tactic these days. Going back to the benefit I mentioned earlier about the press being really interested in having an online component to stories. So a petition can be an interesting hook for a journalist to cover your story. It's also a really easy and effective resource for them to pull information or quotes about an issue for their story. So experiment with putting a link to a petition in your press release if you're doing media outreach. And there are also a couple other ways that you can get exposure to your petition on our platform. Some things that we think are really unique. The first I want to talk about is a feature that we've released recently called Promoted Petitions. And Promoted Petitions allow anyone to promote their favorite petitions to a wider segment of Change.org users. And it works like this. Once your petition reaches a 50 signature threshold, it becomes eligible for promotion. So when someone signs your petition, say the 51st person signs your petition, they may see a screen asking them to chip in to promote your petition to other users. This is kind of like promoted posts on Facebook, but the difference is that when someone chips in to promote your petition, we're promoting it to targeted users on our platform that would care about your issue based on other things that they've done, based on their activity on our platform. So someone chips in to promote your petition, and we feature your petition to others on Change.org. And then when someone sees that petition, they have the opportunity to sign if they want to support you and your work and the petition. So this is a great way for petitions on our platform to get additional exposure. We haven't opened this up to allow individuals or organizations to promote their own petitions just yet, but we're working on that. Here's a screenshot of what the donation form looks like. If you see this when you're clicking around Change.org, this is a new feature that I mentioned that we've rolled out. So we're really excited about it, and I think it's only going to increase the ability for petitions on Change.org to get additional exposure and find the right supporters that care about the issue at hand. I'll also mention that we have a email your supporters tool. So as people sign your petition, we want you to be able to communicate with them, to tell them about developments, to tell them about how they can get involved with other aspects of the campaign. If you're having an in-person rally or you need people to call a certain legislator, the Email Your Supporters tool is a great way to reach out to people that have already showed that they care about their issue and engage them further. It's also a great way just to update them about what's happening on your campaign. So don't forget about that feature. It's available when you're logged in and looking at your petition. There's a big Email Your Supporters link. So, and that's also a potential way to get people to sign up to your email list. Maybe send an email once about asking them to sign your petition. And then finally, we always recommend closing the loop on your petition with an in-person petition delivery. This is a tried and true tactic that organizations have been using forever, and it works. They've been doing it because it generates press, it applies pressure, and there's nothing like this photo shows having thousands of signatures in boxes being walked right into the office of an elected official or a corporation, and you can see on the left-hand side there's a reporter taking pictures. And this is a tactic that we really recommend, especially if your petition has kind of plateaued or you're just not getting a response from your decision maker. There's a life cycle of a petition, and so as you've been going along and getting more signatures, but you still haven't gotten the traction you want, you might think about organizing a petition delivery. Because ultimately, in the end, it's about having a conversation with someone that has the power to make the change you want to see. So a petition delivery can be a tactic to start that conversation or get a response that you haven't gotten otherwise. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about sponsor campaigns, and then I'll turn my attention to questions. I see one or two in there, and if you have any additional questions, let me know in the chat window, and I will answer them. We have plenty of time for questions, so keep them coming. So I mentioned a couple times our paid service, our sponsor campaign service, and this is really an important way that many of our clients are starting to use to connect with new supporters and build their email list and find the individuals that they can cultivate into advocates and donors that they can have a long-term relationship with. We've seen a lot of what you can do for free on Change.org, but when you're ready and ready to get serious about finding the people power you need for your work, we have sponsor campaigns that are really distinct from free petitions, because while we're using the same petition model to allow your organization to quickly reach new supporters. We're also doing some special targeting behind the scenes to promote your petition to the best users that have demonstrated not only an interest in your issue, but an interest in a desire to take action. So it works something like this. You sign up for a sponsor campaign, you work with our amazing client services team to develop the most compelling campaign possible for our issues. We help you optimize your petition to get it ready, and then we show that petition to targeted segments of our user base that we know are going to care about your issue. And then those individuals opt into your petition. It's all permission-based. Once they sign the petition and check a box that says, yes, I want to know more about this issue and others from your organization, you have the ability then to communicate with them going forward and welcome them onto your email list and cultivate them into donors. Our users are really pretty incredible. We've seen amazing results from our sponsor campaigns with our clients. Open rates for first messages are much higher than industry average. Response rates from email on the whole are also much higher. And folks are much more likely to donate to a cause than the national average. And this is something that we're really proud of. The model that we've built for engaging individuals to take action has really shown results as far as ROI for fundraising for organizations. There's a difference when someone has signed a petition with someone that's just liked your page on Facebook. When someone signed the petition, they demonstrated that they're that much more willing to take action and to be engaged and be involved in a very concrete manner. So that means that the supporters you connect with and the addresses and emails and names that come along with that list growth and list building means that these folks are demonstrated to be more likely to donate or respond in the future. And we can talk more about that offline. I don't want to go into too much more detail, but just know that we have our sponsor campaign paid service that's available when you're ready to find those new supporters, maybe for a specific campaign you're running, or maybe to prepare for your end-of-year fundraising campaign. We can quickly provide you at a speed and a scale that's not possible anywhere else really, with very highly targeted, very passionate supporters that care about your work. Great. So that is the end of our webinar here. I'll leave you with the question, what are you changing? We would love to know. You can find us on change.org/organizations, and we're also on the social web, Twitter @changeorgs, and Facebook at facebook.com/changeorgs. If you have a campaign you're working on and you really excited about what you put together, if you've started a petition, let us know. We'd be happy to share it. We're always interested in amazing campaigns and innovative tactics. That's what we're trying to do. We know that's what you're trying to do as well, and we would love to hear more about the work that you're doing. Finally, my email is lawrence@change.org. Feel free to email me with any questions you have after this, whether it's to learn more about our sponsor campaign paid service, or if you have specific questions about using our platform. Great. So we're going to wrap up. If you have to go, feel free, and thanks for joining us.